All right, good morning, everybody. First things first, before we get into the video today, if you haven't checked out my other YouTube channel, Whiskey Tears, check that out. A new video dropped there earlier today before this video came out. So go ahead, go over there, check that out, hit subscribe for me over there. For today's video, woo! 3 trades today. We got one that I just kind of cut, one that was a loser, and then one that I took 3,200 shares in. So we're going to break it all down in today's video. Let's trade.
Hey guys, are you tired of using the same old stock market scanner and getting the same old results? Add some intensity to your trading with the Intensity Stock Watch Scanner. The intensity indicator is the only predictive price action indicator that alerts before significant reversals, allowing trade management with unprecedented timing and accuracy. Now with this exclusive link and code GDTISW, you can get 20 to 30% off every month on your subscription. It's time to finally get the results you've been looking for and intensify your trading with the Intensity Stock Watch Scanner.
All right, first trade of the day was here on TUP, and I really didn't want to play this one just because it had big earnings news, but it was really the only thing making a decent move at this time, so I decided to go ahead and try it. I get in 200 shares short here at 1061, and almost immediately I'm like, this is not my play. This is not acting how I want it to. You look at the volume, it's huge. It's not really slowing down at all. This thing has the potential, I think, to really go today. So I'm like, all right, probably shouldn't be in this one. I'll just put my take profit out real short and close down at 1050. Not going to try and really get anything out of this one. Just going to try and close this one out and move on to something else. So I put my order out there at 1050, just kind of trying to take this one off once I kind of realized second-handedly that it wasn't for me. So I get the fill there all out for $22, and this thing did in fact rip from here on out and was a tough trade. So glad I got out of this one when I did and moved on. But I then moved on to coin. Which really wasn't making an intense move. It was hitting into the low teens on the scanner, but none of these candles are overly fast. But it was really the only thing making any kind of move at the time, so I was kind of intrigued by it with how extended it was. It was the only thing making a move, so I decided to try it light here with 100 shares at 72.81, and then I will look to add if it gives a nice pop up through 73.20-ish area. So here it comes up through 73.20, seeing what I can get out of this one. Just waiting a minute here, waiting to see if it can get up a little bit more, just because it seems a little bit close maybe to my first entry based on the range of the candles and the price of the stock and all that. So just waiting a minute here to see if it can get up a little bit higher before I add in here on coins. So here it comes up, there it goes up into the 30s, there's the 40s, and there's trying 50, it's trying 50, it's trying 50, can it get through 50? There's through 50, it's kind of stalling out over that, so I take another entry right there, and that's a much better adding position there on coin. I now have 200 shares short at 73.22, but several minutes goes by, it really doesn't pull back at all. It actually almost got down under 73, which was going to be my cover point if it got under 73, but it didn't do it, so I decided just to put a stop out right over the highs at 74.05, just a few cent cushion there in case it did a little fake breakthrough by a couple cents. But absolutely fine with putting the stop in here and getting taken out there for $169. Really probably shouldn't have been in this one, but at least I stuck to the plan and took the loss. So now's where it gets interesting here on PSTX. And I'll say before this trade even starts, my plan on this one was to do more ads than I normally do, more than the 112, but I didn't take into account that while doing that, I also need to adjust my starting share size, just because I was looking at this one in the daily chart and the move. I was like, yeah, if it runs, I can really get the potential to add in a bunch of times here and get a pretty good average with more shares than normal. But I forgot or didn't adjust my starting share size accordingly. So I start 300 there at 436. I'm going to add in there as it gets up through the 450. So I have 600 shares short here at 444. And if this one came down through 430, I was just going to take it right here and take the small win. But like I said, my plan was more ads than just my normal 112 here that I would normally do on PSTX, just because I love the daily chart so much and I didn't think the move really had that potential to crush me. So I'm playing I'm playing it how I'm supposed to. I'm just not in the correct share size that I'm supposed to. So it's coming back up here towards the highs. I'm going to go ahead and add in 600 more there. So I now have 1,200 shares short at 462. And I was kind of looking at that $5 to $5.50 level for where I really thought this thing could top out. So still had room, according to the trading plan, to add in more here. But obviously, I'm getting a little bit heavier on the shares here than I would like if I'm going to have to add in up through 5, which is what I'm going to have to do, because if you saw the title, we're going to get up to 3,200 shares in this sucker. So I'm watching it here as it pushes up towards 5. I'm like, all right, can we get the move through 5? Can we get it up a little bit higher here? And really, I probably should have been waiting for more than just through 5, since my last ad was at 480, but I didn't want to take the chance that it was just a quick little fake break up through that $5 whole number, and then it was going to fade off through there. So I wanted to at least get some more in here if it gets up and gets through 5. So I'm watching it here on the ask as it pushes up into the high 490s, pushing up to 5. There's 5. It hits there for a second. Can it get through 5 here? Can it? There's through 5. I'm going to go ahead and click the button, get another 1,000 shares short here. Now have 2,200 shares short at 482. So I'm okay with my average, but if it wants to keep going, then I have to stick with the plan at this point and not just worry about the share size, which admittedly was tough when I was in a bit more shares than I had really intended to start, but had to stick with the trading plan, because the trading plan is what's going to get you to your profits and not your share size that you're taking so much. So I'm certainly taking more of a risk by doing that, because if it doesn't work, then I'm going to take a much bigger loss than I was intending to begin with. But I can also have the potential of getting that bigger win, so I got to stick with the plan and just go with how it is. So I'm watching here. We're going to see if it pops up towards 550 for really that final ad. I don't have any more to go in me after this. Don't want to get any more heavy in this one. If it gives a bigger run up through 550, I'll just have to cut it. So I'm watching it here as it comes up into the 540s. Can it push up through 540 here, closer to 550? There's 545. I see some orders stacking there, 545, 447. So I go ahead and add in there, and I have 3,200 shares short now here on PSTX with an average of 5. So going to be looking for this thing to come back down through 5 before I start making any money. Eventually, I decided just to put 3,000 out at 495 just to kind of reduce the shares down on this one, because I was like, man, I'm really deeper in this one than I want to be. If it comes up through 550, I'm going to have to cut it at this point for, it's going to be like a 1,500 loss, which is bigger than I really want. So I put the order out there at 495, and it comes down and it gets me an initial fill here of 1,040 shares out of the 3,000 that I put out there at 495. So it gets me a partial, then it gets me 200 more shares there, fills me for a total of 1,240 down at 495, and then it starts popping back up a little bit. So I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Hey, you couldn't just give me all 3,000 there at 495, but it is what it is. So the trade is starting to work now, and really, had I been objectively looking at it and not just focused on where my share size was and all that at this point, I should have been adjusting my orders down further from 495. But once you're in that kind of share size that you're not too overly comfortable with, it's a hard thing to do. So that's kind of where I was on this one. I actually debated moving it down, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it at 495, and if it gets down there and fills me the rest of the 3,000, I'll take that, and I'll just try and work with the remaining 200 shares that I would have left a little bit extra. So waiting to see if it can get down below 5 again here. Kind of bounced a little bit off of me there, came back up around to the 520s. Now it's coming back down through 5, and really I should have noticed here that if it broke down through 5, it had a much better chance of going further down to the downside. So should have really noticed that here once it was getting this big pressure here at the 5 range. So you can see it getting that big volume in the red. Pretty much all red was coming in there. Pops back up for just a second, but really isn't able to go up any higher, and is still continuing with that big red down pressure there. Fills me for the remaining 3,000 shares there at 495. And you can see pretty much immediately it comes all the way down to 483. So it was a better idea to have moved the order down, but like I said, I was just going to take it and reduce it down from there, and then see if I can do anything with the remaining 200 shares. So with 100 to 200, I decided if it got down below 480, I would take another 100 off here. So it was getting a little bit slower. It was kind of starting to grind a little bit, so I decided if it gets below 480 here, I'll click the button and try and get a fill for 100 of the 200 shares that I have left. So it's kind of sitting here at 480. I'm like, is it going to stall here again at another 10-cent range? Well, there it's below. I click the button and I get the fill there. So now I'm down to 100 shares left, and I will try to get those remaining shares down below the 470 level, just another 10 cents or so as we're starting to get into the moving averages here. So looking forward below 470 now with the remaining 100 shares here, and see if I can just go ahead and end this trade. If it gets down below 470, there's 473, there's below. I clicked the button. I didn't get a fill initially, so you can see my order sitting out there on the bid at times highlighted in white. That's me at 470. If you're watching the level 2, you can see it flashing there on the screen in kind of like the highlighted white instead of the black text. And there's the fill for the remaining 100 shares, and I'm all out there for plus 200 on PSTX. So trade-wise, this one went how I wanted it to, but I got in too big on the share size, which then made it tough. So really this is one of the things I've been wanting to do more, especially with these low price ones, is be able to do more than my normal 112 ads. But today was a good example of, if I do that, I definitely need to control my initial starting share size much better. That way I don't get a little out of hand if I actually do get the move that I want it to do, like PSTX did. So good learning experience there. Happy I got out of it plus 200 green and plus 53 on the day. At least got a little bit of the red back from yesterday. That does make me green on the week by a few dollars. So I'll take that. I'll move on. I'm going to go do a bunch of work around the house. By the way, if you're following, I'm considering putting up a weight loss tracker thing here on the screen. Hit a new low this morning. Hit the gym for 2 hours yesterday. Absolutely crushed it. Was awesome. Today I'm doing a bunch of yard work to try and get some cardio in, and if I don't feel pumped up enough from the cardio from the yard work, probably go for a run before I pick up my girls. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.